We decided that with the random drawing for who would go first on the opening statements, that whoever that person was would take my first question. 2 minutes to reply to each of my questions, and then the candidate gets to choose another candidate and pose the same question to that candidate of their choice for a 1-minute response. Let's see if this works. Hope and pray it does. So Dan Webster, because you were chosen randomly to give the first statement, you received the first question. Tell us tonight your top 3 priorities if you are elected, and how you will go about accomplishing all 3.
Okay. My first priority is to turn off the spigot. We are borrowing.
Can you hear him in the back? Can you hear him in the back? I'm concerned. All right, fair enough. Forgive me, sir.
My first priority is to turn off the spigot, which is we are borrowing $4 billion a day, most of which comes from our enemies. We are spending it, we don't even have it. We're printing it, and we don't have anything to back it up. So my number 1 priority would to be cut spending, turn off the spigot. We can do that, and the way we would do that is to roll back the budget to 2007. Just 3 years ago, if we would take that budget and pass it today, just as it was, does it roll back some salary increases? Yes. Does it get rid of TARP and health care and all of the other things, including the stimulus package? Yes, it does that. Does it take back some of the COLAs for the entitlement programs? Yes, it does that too. But it's only 3 years ago. If we took that budget and passed it, it would self-balance in 2 more years. That's cutting spending. That's bringing the budget into control. That's cutting off the spigot.
I want to make sure you get 2 and 3 in here because you're going to run out of time, so go ahead.
Well, that's going to take a lot of time to do that one. To me, the next is, I'm not sure exactly what I would do, but I want to protect life. The worst part of the health care bill is the fact that it allows for abortions paid for by federal funds. And I want to end that.
And number 3.
And number 3, I think we need to make our friends again, Israel and Georgia and Poland and other people.
Thank you, Daniel Webster. Now, would you like to pick out one of the other 6 candidates and pose the question about their priorities?
Oh, I don't know. I guess I'll start on the other end. Ross Beeling.
Thank you, Dan.
1 minute.
One of the first things I would do is we need to go ahead and defund and ultimately repeal the health care bill, which is it's nothing more than redistribution of wealth and control of our country. It is a $3.5 trillion monster in the 20th year, maybe more than that. CBO came out about 2 weeks, 3 weeks after the darn thing passed and said, we have a horrendous threat against our country, healthcare. Where were they? The second thing, and I'll preface by saying, I'm not a birther, but I believe in the Constitution. I believe firmly that we should ensure that anybody running for the office of presidency, either on the ticket or seeking the office directly or can ascend to the office of presidency, be a natural-born citizen of the United States.
Number 3, if you will.
And number 3, probably just sit down and say a prayer the first day and help that God can guide me, give me the strength to be the oak, not a willow, to be the leader that you would send me there to be, and to always stand up for what we know is right, true, and good for your family and mine. Thank you.
Thank you, Ross Beeling. My second question, and we're going to go right across stage right from our initial question to Dan Webster. This for Patricia Sullivan. Have a couple of questions on the economy. Republicans in general rail against out-of-control spending by President Obama and the Democrats in Congress. If you believe we need to cut spending, specifically, what would you cut and how much?
Well, in order to get this economy back going, we have to put faith back in to our ability to invest and create jobs, not bail out companies that are failing. They're not too big to fail. And so when we get in there and we look at the spending that's been taking place with the health care legislation that's been passed, the stimulus bills, we need to put our foot down and say, no more of that. No more spending. Let's act fiscally responsible. Now, there's certain areas that we can look at as far as departments that are to be cut. Those aren't going to be huge areas of savings, but we need to look at them and we need to lead by example and say we're going to cut in these areas as well. But we cannot become a European-style nation where we have entitlement programs that suck the money out of hard-working citizens' pockets, and we enable those who are not working to continue their lifestyle of sitting at home. So we need to look at those welfare-style entitlement programs. And one of the great things about this movement that's been started is that there are those who are legitimately hurting in this economy. But you know what? Government isn't the answer. You cannot mandate charity. We, the people, need to be taking care of our brothers and sisters. It's up to us to do that, not government.
Thank you, Patricia Sullivan. Would you like to pose the question to the candidate of your choice now? The same question, that if they believe we need to cut spending, what would they cut and how much? Who gets the question?
Well, Bruce came out with a new plan. Hear it.
Well, thank you, Patricia. Yeah, we did come out with a plan, and that plan is to go right to the cut spending as part 2 of our plan after we make Congress accountable. But as we get into an absolute balanced budget, we go right to ending earmarks, and we know that earmarks are the beginning of corruption in Congress. When we go to Congress or Tallahassee or wherever we lead, and we bring projects back to our communities that have nothing to do with the operation of government, that's wrong. And we need to maintain the fact that earmarks are wrong. We need to end spending for things that have nothing to do with government, like the Woodstock Memorial Museum in New York that Hillary Clinton helped sponsor. We need to end the spending of things for Planned Parenthood and funding groups like that. So we end the spending that has nothing to do with running this government.
All right, there's the 1-minute response from Bruce O'Donoghue to the question posed by Patricia Sullivan. Now, my third question goes to Bruce O'Donoghue, and it's another one on the economy. Entitlement spending is driving huge increases in the federal deficit and the national debt, as we know. I want you to tell us tonight whether or not you support drastic measures like cuts to Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security benefits and raising the retirement age. And are there specific sacrifices you would ask as a member of Congress of all Americans to make the budget balance again and pay down the national debt?
Well, great question. I would say, number one, as we get and looking at the entitlements, we have people, particularly even those in this room and my family, my parents are in their 80s. They have worked hard, and they have a dependency on Social Security. And those who are in retirement right now, or those heading into retirement, we don't mess with them at all because they've been planning for this. And many of them, because of the economy, have already spent their life savings just to get through that. So we do not mess with that. But we as a nation must get a grasp on the spending for the future. And we've got young men and women, and we definitely need to pull people together and make a decision on how we tackle the challenges of Social Security in the years to come. But I tell you, at this point, no changes to Social Security and no changes to Medicare. As it relates to the future, we definitely have to tackle it. As it relates to what we would sacrifice, I think all Americans are willing to sacrifice, friends. We know that. The question is this: is Congress willing to sacrifice? Are they willing to make the right decisions and cut the ridiculous spending and make the right decision so that the budget gets balanced and the economy gets on the right track so that small businesses can get the working capital they need to put people to work? I'll tell you, if people aren't at work, we're not going to have any Social Security left in the next few years. So that's where I'm at, bud.
All right.